Good morning. Welcome to Akureyri, Iceland. Today we have a late shore excursion. Our shore excursion does not leave until 10:30. So this morning I've been up. I looked at the fantastic views of the area from the pool deck. Unfortunately, it is raining and kind of cloudy and overcast. That has put a damper on some of my plans. I wanted to get up this morning and go out exploring the city before going on our shore excursion. However, I decided it is about 13 degrees or about 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is raining and it is not very pleasant outside. So I thought I would not go and do that and just stay here in the room. So we have eaten breakfast and now we're just waiting. We have about an hour and a half before we do our shore excursion. So that's a bit of an update. Bye for now. We went down to the theater to wait for our shore excursion. Soon our tour number was called and it was time to go ashore. All right. Quickly, we loaded up onto the tour bus and began our tour. As we pulled away from the cruise port, we drove through the city of Akureyri. The city is nicknamed the capital of North Iceland. It is the largest city outside the Reykjavik area and has a population of about 20,000 people. The traffic lights in Akureyri are special. The red lights are shaped like hearts. When we reached the edge of the city, we continued to follow Highway 1. We turned left and crossed over the causeway. Highway 1 is a ring road which circles the island of Iceland. It takes about 7 days to travel the ring road around Iceland. We began our ascent up the side of the fjord and said goodbye to our cruise ship. The tunnel to the right is Highway 1. We will not be taking the tunnel and instead will stay on the open road. We will circle back and meet up with Highway 1 once we drive around the mountain. Driving on Highway 83, we had stunning vistas of the fjord. Our next stop is about an hour away. Let's sit back and enjoy the ride. About 45 minutes later, we pass Godafoss waterfall. This is an absolutely stunningly beautiful waterfall. We will be stopping here later on in the tour when we circle back to return to our cruise ship. Just south of the city of Lugar, there is a beautiful river which cuts through the landscape. About 50 years ago, a dam was placed on the river. The local citizens did not want the river dammed. They collectively went together and blew up the dam. The authorities investigated the incident, but no one would divulge who blew up the dam. No one was arrested, and the government decided not to build another dam on the river. Finally, we made it to our first stop. People were eager to get off the bus and stretch their legs. We went inside the building to the left. This is Cell Hotel. Inside, we were allowed to use the restrooms. Also, we were treated to water, tea, coffee, and an area to sit down. On the tables, there were finger foods, which included half sandwiches, breads, and cakes. We then had time to go across the street to explore the Lake Maivatin area. If you see flies swarming around the camera, do not be alarmed. They are called lake flies or gnats. They nest in the lake. Usually, they are not a problem because the wind keeps them away. However, today there is no wind and the flies are absolutely horrible. It was nearly impossible to enjoy the area because there were so many flies. Hello, welcome to the first stop on our tour. This is a crater lake. It's absolutely stunningly beautiful. I would give you a lot more details, but there are tons and tons of these gnats and they are everywhere and they're getting in my hair. They're flying all around me, and I'll give you more details in a voiceover where I can do it in the comfort of not being eaten up by gnats. So that's a bit of an update. Bye! This area is made up of pseudocraters. These are rare geological features which are only found within the Lake Maivatin area and in Hawaii. Pseudocraters form when lava flows over water. The water becomes trapped under the lava and begins boiling. The pressure which is created causes explosions. The explosions tear apart the lava. The lava builds up around the area where the steam escapes. As the lava builds up, this forms a pseudocrater. The large lake is called Lake Maivatin. The lake is the fourth largest in Iceland. It covers approximately 14 square miles, or about 37 square kilometers. The lake is quite shallow, with an average depth of about 8 feet, or 2.5 meters. The area is very fertile, and these Icelandic horses are taking advantage of the green grass. This area is known for its vast array of birds. People come from all over the world to birdwatch here. There are two paths a person can take. One is a shorter path called the Crater Trail. It takes about a half an hour. The other path is called the Bird Trail and takes about an hour. Due to the short time we had at this stop, we did the shorter path, Crater Trail. Soon it was time to leave and head to our next destination. The rocky formations on either side of the roadway are lava flows which have hardened. The rock which is left behind creates interesting formations. We followed Lake Maivatin. Then it was time to turn off the road and go to Dimmuborgir. When we got off the bus, we had beautiful views of the lake. It was then time to go into the nature area and begin our tour. Our tour was very fast-paced. We did not have a lot of time to stop and take photos. Instead, it was a mad dash to keep up with the tour guide as he quickly descended into the nature preserve. This area is called Dimmuborgir, which is loosely translated as dark castles or dark cities. Since this area is so close to Lake Maivatin, the lake flies continue to pester us. Some people were wise and had nets for around their heads. Throughout the tour, I constantly stopped and recorded the signpost. I was pretty sure I was going to get lost because I could not keep up with the tour guide. I wanted to be able to look back at my videos and photos in case I needed to figure out how to get back to the bus. Heavy volcanic activity in this area surrounding Lake Maivatin has created some amazing and exquisite land formations. In this region, the area is filled with caves, rock towers, and lava pillars. Some of the rock formations are 65 feet or 20 meters in height. Since there are so many land formations in this park, many enthusiasts have decided some of the formations look like various animals. Perhaps I do not have a very good imagination, but I could not see any formations in any of the rocks.
There's supposed to be something big, spectacular behind me. I have no idea. If you see anything, let me know. Bye.
The Yule lads live here in Dimmuborgir. They are also referred to as Iceland's Santa Clauses. They are the 13 sons of Gryla and Leperludi. They are vicious trolls who live in a big cave. The brothers all have funny names which refer to their favorite foods or interests. The Yule lads are rarely seen in the summer because they use the time to rest in their caves. The best time to see them is in the winter time, especially in the month of December as they become active preparing for Christmas. Along the path, there was a side trail which allowed people to hike up a small incline.
Ja, is een huis.
Once at the top, a small cave revealed a camp set up by the Yule lads. Since it is summer, it seems the Yule lads are hiding from the tourists and are not in this camp. Along the way, we encountered another tour group from Celebrity. It seems they were doing this trail in the reverse direction.
Yep.
Dimmuborgir straddles the American and Eurasian tectonic plates. These plates are drifting apart and can be seen very clearly throughout the park. Where the plates have drifted apart, a very deep crevice has been created. We were all very careful to not move too fast to avoid dropping our phones down the deep, deep hole. Bye-bye, phone. The land formation behind me with the hole in the rock is a very famous spot. You can walk up to the rock and get a photo while standing in the archway. Unfortunately, we did not take that path, and there was no time to detour to the rock formation. There are 3 different walking routes through Dimmuborgir. They are all relatively easy paths and are smooth, level, and paved. In 1940, Dimmuborgir was starting to fill in with wind-blown sand. The southern area was completely submerged. A conservation program was created. The area was fenced off to prevent sheep from grazing here. Also, lime grass was planted and has spread over the area. The lime grass prevents the area from silting up. A stone barrier was also erected. Native birch trees have also naturally spread over the area. The trees have created a wind barrier and help protect the land. The area has mostly been reclaimed. Soon, it was time to start climbing up out of Dimmuborgir and back to the top where the visitor center and bathrooms were located. After ascending out of the land formations, we had phenomenal views of the area from lookout points. The region is called Maivatn. Volcanic eruptions have shaped the landscape with incredible land formations which seem both beautiful and mystical. To use the bathroom at this stop, there was a 300 krona fee. Thankfully, our tour guide gave us passes to use the bathroom. To enter the bathroom, you either had to scan your pass or insert your credit card and pay the 300 krona. Once the fee was paid, the turnstile unlocked and allowed the person to enter the bathroom. My poor mom was given a ticket which did not work. She had to climb underneath the turnstile in order to use the bathroom. After using the bathroom, it was time to board the bus and continue on with the tour. As we traveled on the road, we passed a geothermal plant. This geothermal plant was built in 1969. It produces 3 megawatts of geothermal energy. There has been a proposal to expand the plant to 90 megawatts. However, concerns have been raised over the expansion of the power plant on the ecosystem. Environmental studies are currently being done to assess the impact the new power plant may have on the environment. Across the road from the power plant was a geothermal spa. Our third stop was at the Namafjall geothermal area. There are many boiling mud pots here. The water and mud are not to be touched as they are likely to be boiling hot and will burn you. In the past, sulfur in the area was mined to create gunpowder. The field is full of bright colors such as orange, red, yellow, blue, and green. The area is barren. No vegetation grows in the geothermal field or on the slopes of the mountain. The air smells very strongly of sulfur. It burns your nose, mouth, and eyes. According to online sources, they state that the sulfur can be damaging to one's health. However, a visit of a few hours is considered safe. I would highly disagree with this statement, as the sulfur in the air made me quite sick.
Hello, welcome to the geothermal hot springs. I can barely talk. This is terrible for my airways. So don't come here if you have respiratory issues. Oh, not a good idea. We're quite a ways away from the geothermal hot springs and my lungs are burning. So that's a bit of an update. Bye for now.
After visiting the geothermal field, we hopped back on the bus and continued our tour. We passed through a small town. A volcano previously erupted nearby. At this church, the lava flow miraculously stopped. The church and the city were spared the destruction from the lava. As we drove to our last stop, we had stunning views of Godafoss waterfall from the roadway.
So what we're going to do here, see this black building? That's where the gift shop is, the toilets, the restaurant, and we have to pay 300 Icelandic krona.
Hello, this is our final stop on our tour. It is called the Waterfall of the Gods. It is quite impressive. Let's take a look around.
This waterfall is called Godafoss, or the Waterfall of the Gods. The legend is that in 1000, the chieftain of Losevitan County returned from the Icelandic Assembly, which convened in southern Iceland near Reykjavik. At the assembly, it was decided that Icelanders should adopt Christianity. He threw his statues of pagan gods into this waterfall. Some believe this story is just a myth. Godafoss can also be translated as Waterfall of the Chieftain. Other historians believe the waterfall is called Godafoss in honor of the chieftain who used to live here, while others believe the waterfall is called Godafoss because there are two crags at the waterfall which resemble pagan gods. Whatever story you wish to believe, let me tell you, this is one majestic waterfall. The waterfall is 12 meters or about 36 feet high. It has a width of 30 meters or 90 feet. The river which creates this waterfall is a glacial river and is about 1,800 kilometers or about 1,100 miles long. The Waterfall of the Gods is the largest waterfall on this river. Lava covers most of the valley. There is a thin layer of topsoil which covers the lava. The main flora is dwarf shrubs, moss, and lichen. The river was very, very cold. Since the waters come from a glacier, the water was a little above freezing, even in the summer. Moreover, the river was very fast-moving. Visitors had to take caution to not fall into the river and get swept away by the rapid current. The MS Godafoss was an Icelandic ship named after the waterfall. It used to transport both people and freight. During World War II, it was sunk by a German U-boat. This resulted in the loss of many lives. In 2020, the waterfall was given protective status, which ensures it will remain a waterfall and will not be turned into a hydroelectric power plant. All along the path to the waterfall, there were hidden gems such as this small waterfall which flows into the river. Downstream, there is a second waterfall, which is called Godafoss. Salmon inhabit this river and can swim as far as Godafoss. They are not able to jump up this waterfall. Salmon fishing in this area is excellent. The pedestrian bridge is the third one in existence. The first one was built in 1882. The next was constructed in 1930, and this present bridge was erected in 1972. As I was rushing back to the bus, I nearly screamed when I saw this mannequin. I was not expecting this statue to be in the parking lot, and it gave me quite a scare. Soon it was back onto the bus, and we had one last look at the river before returning back to Akureyri. Soon, we returned to the cruise port and had a race back to go to supper. Here are some photos of Akureyri. It has a very cute city center. The architecture is a mix of new and old. I am not sure what this is a statue of, but of course, I had to get a photo with it. We walked around part of Old Town. These are some of the very first buildings which were built in this area. One thing I love about Iceland is that there are flowers all around. Also, even the weeds are very pretty to look at, and many people do not pull their weeds. Good evening. Today has been a very long day. We had an extremely long tour. We did not get back to the cruise ship till almost 5:30. We usually eat supper at 5:30. So as soon as we got back, we had a quick change and rushed down to the dining room to eat supper. Then after supper, we had a little bit of time before we were going to sail away. So my mom and I hurried off to the grocery store to find some items, and unfortunately the grocery store did not have very much. But we did find the one item we were looking for, which was water. I am very, very thirsty on this cruise, and the water on the ship is very dehydrating. So I was able to get some water, which it's Icelandic spring water, and it's really, really delicious. Right now, we are sailing away. Unfortunately, the weather is not the greatest outside. I am staying inside to keep warm. It is quite cold outside, and even being all bundled up, it is too cold for me to be outside. So that has been our exciting day here in Akureyri. Iceland. Tomorrow we're going to be in Isafjord, Iceland, which is supposed to be another fantastic port. And I hope you stay tuned to next week for all my fun and adventures. Thank you so much for joining me. Please remember to like and subscribe down below. I hope you have a great day and a wonderful week. Bye-bye.
And they would walk about 70 meters and they would find the next pile and they would